What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports here on the Michigan channel at the Voice of College Football. In this video, we are going to give you a projected record for Michigan for the upcoming 2022 college football season. Of course, it's a big surprise team last year. I don't think hardly anyone had them making it to the college football playoff. Just a big-time year for Michigan. And again, surprised a lot of people, including myself. Before we get to 2022, let's look back at 2021 and the projections in the preseason. Here are the projections from 2021, and you see everyone pretty much had Michigan 6, 7, 8 wins. No one really expected this team to make it to the college football playoff, to 11-1. Now, that was their record in the regular season last year, 11-1. Our projection had them at 7-5. So going through and doing what we're about to do here in just a second, that had them at 7-5. Our prediction was 6-6. I had this team really kind of falling off in the second half of the season. I thought Jim Harbaugh was going to get fired, and I was wrong. And I will admit it. I was wrong about this Michigan team. I think really looked way too much into 2020. Didn't realize how fluky that year was, and shouldn't have put so much stock into that. But I mean, this team, looking at how they played in 2020, it was hard to imagine them doing what they did this past season. The FBI had them at 6.4 and 5.7, so they also had them around 6-6. Same thing as my prediction, and that was actually lower than the projection. Vegas was a little higher on this team, had the over/under at 8, and obviously they went over. And I'll be honest with you, in the preseason, I would have thought that the under would have had a really good chance there, because I didn't see this team really doing much better than 8-4. I thought that was probably about their best case scenario, maybe 9-3, but they proved me wrong for sure, and we'll see if they can do it again this upcoming season. Of course, we're not giving away any predictions this early. This is simply a projection based off of the schedule, how tough the schedule is, and roughly how good we think each team is going to be this upcoming season. So here is the schedule again. Here's the key that we'll be using. You see the games that say in white, those will be your 50-50 games. If it's less than 20%, it'll be in red, 20 to 29% in orange, 30 to 39% in yellow, 61 to 70% in purple, 71 to 80% in blue, over 80% in green. And basically, the way I like to look at this is, if it's in that 20 to 29 range or the 71-80 range, that means that I think the team is going to be favored or an underdog by about 10 points. And if we're talking a game that's in that 60 to 70 range, that's a game where I think that one team is going to be favored by about a touchdown. So the 50-50 games, those are the games where I think the spread would likely be 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 points, somewhere in that range or less. And the way we do it is we go, if it's over 80%, if it's in green, we count it as a win. Under 20%, count it as a loss. Then we average out the percentages for the other games and I give you a projected record. So the easy wins for Michigan, they've got 7 of them. They've got 7 easy wins. That means the worst case, the absolute worst case scenario for Michigan, if this team just plays terrible for whatever reason, they're still going to go 7-5. They're going to beat Colorado State, Hawaii, UConn, and Maryland. Indiana, Rutgers on the road. Perhaps if there's a monumental upset, we could see something crazy happen in one of those games. But I think it's over 80% for Michigan. And same thing with Illinois. So you've got 7 wins that are almost guaranteed. I wouldn't say they're all guaranteed, but they will be big favorites. And these green games, we're talking about games where they're going to be favored by more than 2 touchdowns. And I think they will be in all 5 of these matchups. But let's go to the blue now, the 71 to 80% range. And it's kind of tough. It's tough to do this, especially this early, before we even know what the rosters are going to look like at the end of the day with all the transfers and all of that. But I think you can put Penn State and Nebraska here in the purple. I think these are games where Michigan is going to be favored, but not huge favorites. And Nebraska, I have a feeling that Nebraska is going to be pretty good this year. They lost a lot of close games last year. The game was close against Michigan last season. So that's a game that I think Michigan will be favored by about a touchdown. Same thing with Penn State. Playing Penn State at home, I think, is going to be huge for Michigan. Really, both of these games, having these games at home, the schedule really does set up well for this team. Iowa and Ohio State, the only real tough road games. So because the games are at home, I think you can put these games in that 61 to 70% range. If Nebraska turns out to not be as good as maybe we think, perhaps that game should be in the blue, 71 to 80%. But Given the way they had so many close games last year and what they have coming back, I think we can put that game in that purple category. And then you got the games where Michigan's going to be an underdog. I think there's only one. That's Ohio State. I know Michigan beat Ohio State last season, but with everything Ohio State has coming back and the losses for Michigan on defense, Ohio State is being looked at as a team that's preseason going to be ranked ahead of Michigan, plus the game is on the road. Now, if this game was at Michigan, I'd probably put it in that 50-50 range, but because it's on the road, revenge factor for Ohio State, the losses on defense for Michigan, I think you can put this in the 30 to 39% range. It's close. It's close. I mean, I don't think that I think it's closer to 39% for Michigan than it is for 30%, but I still think they're going to be a 6 or 7 point underdog in this game, and so that does land it here in the yellow. And then you've got Iowa and Michigan State. These games stay in the white. These are the 50-50 games for Michigan. Iowa's a very tough place to play. Michigan, I think, should be the better team, but because of the fact that it's on the road, that bumps this one into that 50-50 range. And Michigan State, the game is at home for Michigan, but it's a rivalry game. Michigan State just beat them last year. I think Michigan's the better team. Same thing with Iowa, but just with all those factors, I think you have to put this game as a 50-50 game. And I believe when you do the percentages, if I bump this game up into the purple, the 61 to 70%, the projected record still comes out the same. The projection for Michigan is 10-2, so a much better projection this season. Remember, 7-5 was the projection last year. They obviously beat that. Can they beat a 10-2 projection? Well, it's possible. I'm not saying that this team can't do better than 10-2 this year, but given the schedule and given how good we think each team is going to be, when you average everything out, the projection for Michigan football in 2022 does come out to 10-2. Do you guys agree? Do you disagree? Do you think better or worse? Give me your thoughts down in the comments below.